allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Hey, may I please ask for a roll call? Present.
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 Thank you. May I ask for an approval of the agenda?
Madam Chair, I move to approve the agenda for September 10th, 2025. Support.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, the agenda is approved. I'll go ahead and open it up for public comment. Any person may come forward at this time to address the board. Anyone who wishes to speak is requested but not required to state his or her name and address for the record. Okay, we did receive some public comment through our web portal email. They are attached to the minutes and they were forwarded to our Board of Trustees. I do want to point out that one of the comments that I think we received 3 comments on was in regard to AATA's Flex Ride. Apparently they had decided or sent out information through their app saying that they were no longer be taking advance reservations for Flex Ride starting in September 8th, I think is what it said. When we received this, we did contact AATA. I spoke with Matt Carpenter, the CEO there. They have paused that. They apologize profusely. We did talk about how they were at the meeting in August. They did not bring this up. We were not informed. There were communication process and that was not good. And we do pay quite a bit of money to help subsidize that. So they are going to pause it. We do have a meeting that we're working to have with AATA to go over that and some other issues. So that has been addressed. Does anyone else have any comments they'd like to make in regard to the communications, the public comment? Okay. All right, then I will go ahead. If I don't see anybody here that's looking to say anything, we'll go ahead and move on to approval of the minutes.
Madam Chair, I move to approve the minutes of the regular meeting held on August 13th, 2025. Support.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, minutes are approved. I'm going to go ahead and open up the public hearing for ZOA number 25-2233, Valley Ranch PUD public hearing at 6:33. Does anyone wish to come up and talk about? Oh, yes, please.
Thank you very much. My name is Andy Andre from Oxford Companies on behalf of the applicant that put in the application, Bluebird and Blackbird Associates. We went through a couple different meetings, public hearings at the Planning Commission, and the intent of the request was to expand the different uses that are available within the Valley Ranch PUD. Coming out of COVID, it's been a little bit more challenging, as everyone knows, with office space in particular, and so the request that was made was intended to take vacant spaces and occupy them, but do it in the right way with the uses that we have proposed as part of the application. Just to give context, of all the properties that we have within the Valley Ranch PUD area, about 59% not occupied. Okay, so our occupancy rate is about 59%, so it's low. So we're looking for those uses that help to activate the PUD area even more and generate, some more uses within there. So give context to the request and appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Is there anyone else that looks to speak on the public hearing? No one? Okay. I will go ahead and close the public hearing at 6:34. And move on to communications. We do actually have a communication in regard to the PUD. We had a couple of different residents over in the Valley Ranch area concerned about the possibility of kennels and the noise that may cause their homes. I will say that in the PUD it does talk about social engagements, social gathering spaces, and the kennels will not be allowed in those areas by the houses, and it would only be the ones further in the units. And then also, they will have conditional use, so they'd have to go before the planning commission to be able to, if you're a social gathering organization or if you're a kennel. But just want to make sure that that's clear, but there are concerns from the residents in regard to the noise of a possible kennel being put in that area.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right.
I would just like to note that those comments will be attached.
Oh, yes, sorry.
In the minutes where the public hearing section is.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you. All right, moving on to our consent agenda.
Madam Chair, I move to approve consent agenda items 7.1 through 7.11.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, consent agenda is approved. May I ask for a motion for 8.1?
Madam Chair, I motion to approve 8.1, receive and file an update on Pittsfield Charter Township's participation in litigation regarding various opioid settlements.
Support.
Okay, any discussion on this one? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we will receive and file. All right, new business. May I ask for a motion for 9.1?
Madam Chair, I motion to adopt a resolution to approve a reorganization resolution 25 through 20.
Support.
Okay, any discussion on this? We do have our HR Director, Pam Hall, in attendance. I almost called you Pam Hayes for a minute there. Pam Hall. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Oh,
Oh, I'm sorry. Roll call. Thank you. Yes.
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 Thank you. Resolution is adopted. And I did have a little note to do that, and I just didn't catch it. Thank you. All right, can I ask for a resolution, or a motion to 9.2?
Madam Chairman, I move to adopt a resolution to make reappointments to township boards, commissions, and committees, Resolution 25-19.
Support.
Okay, any discussion on this one? All right, I will ask for a roll call on this one, or voice call.
Yes.
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 Yes. All right, resolution is adopted. May I ask for a motion for 9.3?
Madam Chair, I move to authorize the supervisor and clerk to enter into a 5-year agreement with Benzinski and Co., municipal finance advisors, for the preparation and submission of the township's annual information statements for fiscal years 2025 through 2029, for an annual cost not to exceed $1,000, subject to township attorney approval.
Second.
Okay, any discussion on this one? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. May I ask for a motion for 9.4, please?
Madam Chair, I move to authorize the supervisor and clerk to sign an agreement with Hasting Air Energy Control Incorporated for the installation of vehicle exhaust extraction system in the Public Safety Facility Improvement Project for a cost not to exceed $90,581, subject to the township attorney approval.
Second.
Okay, discussion on this one? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. May I ask for a motion for 9.5, please?
Madam Chair, I move to authorize the supervisor and clerk to sign an agreement with Cable Runners for the installation of data wiring, emergency call boxes, and security cameras in the Public Safety Facility Improvement Project for a cost not to exceed.
I think we might have missed 1.5.
I skipped one.
That's
I
okay.
apologize, everyone.
You're eager, it's all good.
Madam Chair, I move to authorize the supervisor and clerk to enter into an agreement with Eagle Security for the installation of access control systems and hardwire in the Public Safety Facility Improvement Project for a cost not to exceed $160,077, subject to township attorney approval.
Second.
Okay, any discussion on this one? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. May I now ask for a motion for 9.6?
Madam Chair, I move to authorize the supervisor and clerk to sign an agreement with Cable Runners for the installation of data wiring, emergency call boxes, and security cameras in the Public Safety Facility Improvement Project for a cost not to exceed $199,923, subject to the Township Attorney approval.
Second.
Okay, any discussion on this one? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries there. May I ask for a motion for 9.7?
Madam Chair, I move to authorize the supervisor and clerk to enter into an agreement with Emergent Health Partners for fire dispatching services for the period July 1, 2025 through June 2026 for a cost not to exceed $90,291.48, subject to the Township Attorney approval.
Second.
Okay, any discussion on this one? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. May I ask for a motion for 9.8, please?
Madam Chair, I move to authorize the purchase of one Ford F-150 and one Ford Escape for Building Services Department from Lunghammer Ford through the Michigan Deal Program for a cost not to exceed $85,586.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. May I please have a motion for 9.9?
Madam Chair, I move to authorize the supervisor and clerk to enter into an easement agreements with Pulte Home of Michigan LLC, establishing easements over the water and sanitary sewer main, subject to the Township Attorney approval.
Second.
Okay, any discussion on this one? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. May I please ask for a motion for 9.10?
Madam Chair, I move to approve payment to Midwest Construction, lowest bidder, to remove and replace various sidewalk sections for a cost not to exceed $9,108. Support.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that motion carries as well. May I please have a motion for 9.11? 11.
Madam Chair, I move to authorize the purchase of one 2026 Ford F-350 dump truck for Parks and Recreation Department from Lunghammer Ford through the My Deal program for a cost not to exceed $76,395.
Support.
Okay, any discussion on this one? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. May I please ask for a motion for 9.12?
Madam Chair, I move to authorize the supervisor and clerk to enter into a 5-year agreement with DVS Call Recording for a cost not to exceed $35,000, subject to the Township Attorney approval.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? And again, we do have all of our directors here if anybody does have any questions on any of these. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. May I please have a motion for 9.13?
Madam Chair, I move to authorize the supervisor and clerk to enter into a new 3-year subscription and maintenance agreement with Converge One, covering hardware, licensing, and support for a cost not to exceed $28,000 per year, subject to the Township Attorney approval.
Second.
Okay, any discussion on this one? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. May I please have a motion for 9.14?
Madam Chair, I move to approve the first reading of ZOA 25-233, an ordinance to amend the permitted and conditional uses for the Valley Ranch Planned Unit Development located in Section 16 of Pittsfield Charter Township, Washtenaw County, Michigan.
Second.
Okay, discussion on this one? I would like to say this is what we talked about for the public hearing, and I did speak with Oxford. I don't think anybody has any plans for any sort of kennel. There doesn't seem to be anything. You certainly can take it out, or we could go forward, but knowing that there are provisions within there. I just want to make sure that's discussed. Yep.
I kind of like this idea, like, if it is really, important to our residents, why not just take it out of there? I mean, it just seems like
And it doesn't
It
seem
would
like it's
be
an issue.
very,
right now.
it would be, like, he's not expecting any dog kennels to want to come and be in those spaces. And even if it's on the space, because I did look at the map.
Right.
And it was determined that it was on the other side of the project where the residents were not. But at the same time, I'm like, if it's not already part of the PUD, and these are things that we're adding, and there's no plans really for him to bring in a dog kennel, why not just strike it?
Yeah, so that's a discussion I'd like to have, because there is provision for it, but there's no plans for it, so the options really on the table is to approve as is, or or look taking it out.
So a question, if we strike it, what would the process be then to add that back? If this is something for consideration, like they do have a tenant they want to bring in that has this, is this something that then they could bring in and we can have a discussion on it discreetly? Is that the thought process?
So I think what would happen, and maybe Director West could assist me on this one, but if it's not in the ordinance as a PUD, like I always think of these PUDs as little clarifiers of like what can be done on the land. And if it's not in there, and somebody did want to come in there as a kennel owner, but be away from the residents, they would have to come and ask for us to have an amendment to the ordinance again at that time. But it seems to me like, it would be easier and cleaner just to not have it if they really, really wanted it.
If we left it as is, they would have to go to the planning commission to get the approval. It would be a, conditional approval. It wouldn't just be they could have it. So the PUD is basically saying you can have all of these different types of things. But the social aspect and the kennel would have to come for the planning commission. They're not just, is that correct, Director West? I'll have it come up and explain it best.
Yeah, and even if it's a conditional use, then as long as they meet whatever, whatever.
If we take it out, it'd be a bigger process to get back in, though.
Yeah.
So as it's written right this second, dog kennels and social clubs would require that you go back to planning commission, which is a few-month process to get through the approvals for that. If you were to strike it, then it would have to be a PUD amendment, which would then have to go through planning commission, then back to the board of trustees for review with the public hearings, et cetera. So that's the difference.
Thank you. I mean, with that understanding, and if there is not a plan to have a kennel, I think it makes sense to have a discrete conversation on that if that need arose, or if somebody came in and wanted to use that for that purpose.
Okay, so you're recommending taking it out?
Yes.
Yeah.
I got a question.
Yep.
I was thinking about this kennel situation. I know we have a kennel on Carpenter Road right next to the neighbors, right north of 94. In that intersection, 94 Carpenter would be on the northeast corner. Do we have complaints from the neighbors in there, that dog kennel?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay,
Nope.
all right. All right, that's good to know.
Yeah.
That's a good question. I feel like if we struck it, though, and somebody wanted to bring one in, those are the type of conversations that we can do our due diligence on to understand community impacts and things of that nature while we're entertaining that decision.
Okay.
So, Madam Supervisor, are we suggesting that when we bring this back for second reading, that it's just, we leave out the dog kennel?
That's what I'm hearing. Do we have to, how do we vote on that? Do I move sort of like an amendment?
We can,
We're not approving it
we can
necessarily?
approve it as, striking the language. Okay, so I made the motion. I will make a friendly amendment to the motion to approve the first reading of the amended ZOA 25-233, an ordinance to amend the permitted and conditional uses for the Valley Ranch Planned Unit Development located Section 16, Pittsfield Charter Township, Washtenaw County, Michigan, with the language regarding the dog kennel stricken.
Being excluded, okay.
Second.
Okay,
Okay,
second.
any discussion on that?
I'll support the.
Okay, support, okay. All right, all in favor? Or roll call? Thank you.
Treasurer Eppican.
Yes.
Trustee Urda Thompson.
Yes.
Trustee Braybeck.
Yes.
Trustee Mills.
Yes.
Supervisor Riley.
Yes,
Clerk Lanfear.
Yes.
Supervisor, you have 6 yeas.
all right, thank you. All right, moving on to unfinished business. I don't believe we have any. Liaison reports. Anybody have a liaison report? Yep, yes.
I'd like to report on the Historical Commission. Our understanding is that we're going to be moving the archives. And the question with the Historical Commission is with the archives, they want to know who's in charge of it and what years are we talking about storage. It seems like there's no outline from the Board of Trustees indicating what should we actually be storing? Or is there we're not made aware of it? The commission, I'm not sure.
So it has always been my understanding that, that kind of functions outside of Pittsfield. But the problem is they have some of our documentation. And then additionally, they have all these other documentation that actually has nothing to do with Pittsfield, because they're like magazines and articles regarding like what the area was going through, and teachers in schools, and it has a lot of stuff that really we don't control. But I know that I've been in there and I've seen like they have like some assessing records, some election stuff. I think when I discussed this with Bryce, who is going to be working on it next, is that correct? That they're going to kind of do an inventory to see what they have, and then we're probably going to come together and say, okay, Pittsfield needs actually this because we're under our record retention rules. We got to keep it either permanent, or we got to archive it, or maybe they keep it because they want it and we just take an electronic copy. So right now I think it's a little bit in flux. Like we have to have a good understanding of what they have, and they have so much stuff. And like I said, some of it's not even records. I mean, they have baskets in there and, some memorabilia. And so those aren't records that we're required to keep. So I think it's, we can keep you a little bit posted, if that's okay.
Okay, yeah, I would appreciate that, because I think that we just wanted a direction on who's actually in charge of it. Because as much as we know, there's nothing in writing to say what should be incorporated into the archives.
Yeah.
And then maybe that's what we need to
Yeah.
come to a formal statement on that.
I actually think that would be a pretty good idea. But like I said, there are records that are Pittsfield records.
Right.
And those actually we have to keep control of them in some way. So like I said, once they go through it, do an inventory, see what they have.
Okay.
And maybe get some of the stuff electronic too.
Correct. Okay, I appreciate the help.
No
Thank you.
problem.
Thank you.
And I would
Yes.
just like to make one comment.
Yes.
I said at the last meeting that I was going to bring the WISD proposal, the ballot language, and it totally slipped my mind, so I forgot. But I will email it to you tomorrow. Jill, remind me.
It's available online. Yep.
And so, and I feel like it's going to go up on our website soon, and we're going to do notices anyways. It is for a deputy clerk, if you could correct me if I'm wrong, but it's for WISD technical, community technical education, and I think they're proposing
1 mil is
1 mil. Yeah. So, okay, I just wanted to let you know that I will send it to you.
Thank you, Clerk Gonzalez.
Thank you. And then I do want to just thank the Board of Trustees and the Planning Commission for coming together for our joint meeting on Monday. I think it was very helpful. I think it was well-received, and I think that the idea of maybe looking at doing those maybe, once a year, or, something, coming back together and kind of keeping us so that we're aligned together on the same page and seeing the same information. We do have a liaison that goes back and forth, but it's good to have the whole unit together sometimes. So, all right, if I don't see any other liaison reports, I will go ahead and open up for public comment number 2. Any person may come forward at this time to address the board. Anyone who wishes to speak is requested but not required to state his or her name and an address for the record.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Trisha Duckworth, and due to the fact that I'm a community activist, I don't feel comfortable sharing my address on the record. I came to talk to you about Crystal Clark, but really quickly, I don't see a lot of people that look like me in this room. And so I would like to work with you all on engaging voters and your constituents that are a little more east. I am the executive director of Survivor Speak, and civic education is extremely important to our organization. So we would like to partner with you all so that we can get a more diverse background here for you all. Also, too, because we know that with policing, unfortunately, and we know this by the dashboard, that African Americans are more likely to be pulled over by Pittsfield Township police, and they are extremely problematic in the community a little more east. But I will go to what I am here to talk to you about today. I sent an email to each of you in May. It was a little disheartening, especially with what the content of the email was about. Not one person. And so you may have not got it, and so this is why I am here. Crystal Clark is in the Women's Huron Valley Prison here in your area, and she is suffering from black mold that has, excuse me, it's very emotional. It is in her lungs, it is growing out of her ear, it is now growing out of her nose. There was a federal court ruling, and Crystal's not the only one. This is just the only one that has spoken up enough for us to fight for her. But we are fighting for all of the women. That building is dilapidated. The chow hall area in that building is actually sinking in the ground. So they had to remove the women from that chow hall to a makeshift child hall that has mold in that as well. The building is infested with mold. We heard that the building was condemned. So we wanted to know if that was some information that you all have, and if you would know if the building is condemned. And if not, is there any way that you all, because of it being in your area, can take a look at the building? If there's something that they can do to let you in so that you can see the building and the conditions that are going on. I also asked that if you all would go in and see Crystal yourself, talk to her, see the mold, and really sit with that. Right? With the Eighth Amendment, cruel and unusual punishment, that's not something that we should do to our detained citizens. And they deserve equal protection of the law. That's the 14th Amendment, and that's not happening right now. We have been fighting this since 2022, but we know that Crystal's been there since 2011, and with claims of wrongful conviction, I will add. But she's been there since 2011, and she is highly allergic to mold. And so this is why she's had this reaction. Also, too, there are other women that have died. Teresa Dunlap in 2023, I believe. She was in hospice. She had cancer. We begged for them to let her go. She had mold growing out her chemo port. And they knew this, and they did nothing, and she died. When you die in the Michigan Department of Corrections, they can cremate your body, send you back to your family. There's no evidence of the atrocity that that individual has faced. If she had mold growing out of her chemo port, that means it was in her body, just as with Crystal. So I am asking this board to please exercise anything that you can do to get into that building. If it needs to be condemned, condemn it. If there's anything that you all can do, I am here at your mercy, because women are dying. Crystal is slowly dying, and they need your help. They are your constituents. They are incarcerated, but they're still your constituents. They're in your area, and we're just asking you all, please do something. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm quick. My name is John Schomer. I live in Valley Ranch condominiums, and I just want to know if an address has been settled on for the dog kennels, because one of the addresses in your hearing notice is right behind Valley Ranch condominiums, but the other one that you have listed is close to Ellsworth, which I think would be less problematic, and that's all I have to say.
Okay, don't think we have any.
think they took it out altogether. But, yeah, not to, spoiler alert. My name is Christina Laronis. I live at 151 East Textile Road, and as you know, I was in office from 2000 until 2008. We made it a point very early on to meet with the warden at the jail, which at that time was a men's prison. We met with the warden, we kept in contact with the warden, and we toured the facility. We walked all the way through it. We viewed the circumstances that people were living in, not great, but it certainly has gotten much worse, as Ms. Duckworth has explained to you, and has become well-known through the lawsuit regarding Crystal Clark. This has been highly publicized. When you do your official statements in order to get bonds, I was always surprised to find that the prison was one of the largest employers in Pittsfield Township. I'm not sure if they still are, because now it's a women's prison only. It was changed, the use of it. But it is a major employer in the township. The prisoners obviously are the most affected because they're there, and I guess I don't think that's the right term. I should be calling them the incarcerated individuals, or the people that are in there, whether rightly or wrongly. And some of them are in there wrongly, but they're suffering from the conditions in that prison. I would urge you to make an appointment as soon as possible with the warden, and the supervisor absolutely can do that. The clerk could do that. Any one of you could, and you'll find that it's not only the folks that are living there involuntarily, it's also the people that work there. And there are a lot of people that work in that prison, and a lot of them are residents of Pittsfield Township also. This prison is in Pittsfield Township. I used to write complaints to NPR, Michigan Radio, because they would always call it Ypsilanti. I would say, no, it's Pittsfield Township. It may have an Ypsilanti address just because of its location on the east side of Platte Road, but this is in Pittsfield Township. It's one of your largest employers, one of our largest employers. We have every right and every duty to go in there, meet with the people in the same way that you would go meet with leadership in larger businesses of the township. This is a sector of our township that we need to care about, we need to care for. We need to care for the people who live in it. We need to care for the people who work in it. And it's imperative that you follow up on this, because this is a dangerous situation that these women are living in. And we also did outreach and actually worked often with prisoners they had a community garden down there and that sort of thing, but it has declined. Something's gone wrong over there. And it behooves you to do all that you can. This is another living facility of a different kind, but it's a residential facility of a kind in the township, and it's very, very important that you look into this. I can't emphasize it enough. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I'll go ahead and open up for discussion, or any comment, I should say, any return comments?
I just would like to comment to Mr. Summer. As we discussed on the board, we are removing the dog kennel from the ordinance. So if they do at a later time choose to want to have a kennel in that business units, they would have to restart the process all over again. So, and you would get notice like you did now. Correct. And as far as to Ms. Duckworth and Ms. Laronis, it is disheartening to have knowledge that this jail facility has got all this mold, and I know Christina was saying, some people are in there wrongly, they've been unlawfully convicted, and we do have people who are just working there. But I would say, I think it's also important for the people who are rightly in there, right? People who actually deserve to be in there, I don't think deserve to live like an animal or a third-class citizen, or, so I do feel like it warrants, either me or even this board to reach out to our representatives and say, hey, listen, what can you do? And maybe to think about, what steps that we can take. I just think it's a shame even for people who are rightly in jail, like, hey, you did the crime, you got to do the time, but you shouldn't have to live with mold growing out of anybody that you are in a, you share this space with, so.
I agree, and I have reached out to our representatives to see what can be done. They have gone and met, and I've talked to our staff here about possibly going in. We do runs there, so that, it's important for us. I realize it's not completely under our jurisdiction. I get that part. We don't have the power to state, but it is in Pittsfield Township. So I actually appreciate the idea of going out and meeting the warden. I think that was something I think we would be willing to do. We've been doing different avenues, but I think that's a good avenue to do. Also, the city of Ypsilanti did a resolution on August 12th, that I would like to see if we can maybe bring forth something similar here, at least to show some support in that way. As far as the actual looking at the building, I'm going to have to look into that a little bit further. I don't know the information about the inspections and how that is done, if it's done at the state level or locally, but I will look into that as well.
Thank you.
I got a comment too. I'd have no problem meeting with them also. At the same time, it's like, if a building's being condemned, who's condemning it?
Right, I don't know the answer to that,
Right,
so.
Right, so that's what we need to look into. Yeah, I know our representative, Debbie Dingle's already showed up. She's been in the media on this. She's reported with them, but I don't know the progress or anything else.
Yeah, I
on
talked to
that.
Jimmy Wilson today about it, and I forwarded another email over to Representative Foreman. It's concerning, they're in it, they're on it, so I think it's in the right hands there.
Okay.
But as far as the facility goes, anything that we can do here in Pittsfield, I think we're all in agreement that it's not acceptable, and just to make sure that we're doing what we can.
Okay, thank you.
And thank you for, yes, coming.
Yeah, I'd also like to
Yes.
respond. Thank you for your advocacy, Ms. Duckworth. Thank you for your statement as well, Ms. Laronis. A couple of things I want to unpack in that, I know, Tricia, the first couple of things that you said weren't about the conditions, you're talking about community engagement. I'd love to partner with you more about how we can get some more engagement from folks that frankly look a lot less like me and from the east side of that township, so I'd be happy to partner with you on that. But to the subject matter of why you're here, I know that there's a lot of community members that we've been working with behind the scenes, and Tricia, I know that you've been a part of that, in our family and also with other elected officials. I just also want you to hear from the power of our seats. We've been having some conversations. I apologize that there was not a response to your email, but there has been work being done. We are looking into what we can do, what power we have and what power we don't have. Something that, I was fortunate enough to cross paths with Tricia last night. One of the things that I took away from something she made in a public comment in another body was we need to concentrate on what we can do, not always what we can't. And if there are things that we can do to put pressure on to improve the conditions of the residents that are living there, by the power of our seats, we have the responsibility to do something. So we will look into it. We will look at what we can do. And I hope that you also heard we are looking at what we can do publicly as well. Statements matter. Value statements matter. We will make those public statements, but we will also do the work to see what we can do legally to continue to meet with the warden. Thank you for allowing us. I didn't know that that was something that we had done in the past. But additionally, we can look and see what we can do to put pressure on improving the living conditions for the folks that are housed there. So thank you for your advocacy, and we really appreciate it.
I know that working my previous job, at the Washington County Elections Office, we go in and register people in the prisons and in the jails, and that, to me, it was very eye-opening, and I definitely have a very warm spot for what's going on. And I know that our police and our law enforcement do go in and do programs, and they were just there for a graduation ceremony, so they are engaged, and I just want to make sure I recognize that. Obviously, more for sure that we can do, but we'll continue to do that work too. All right, any other comments? All right, well, thank you again for coming in. That information was very helpful. All right, I'm going to go ahead and ask for a motion to adjourn.
Madam Chair, I move to adjourn.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I don't think there is. We're going to go ahead and adjourn at 7:10, and we're moving into working session.
We're staying here, right?
I believe so. Bryce, we're staying here, right, for the working session? Are we going into the,
We can stay here.
We can stay here because
Yeah, okay.
it's already adjourned.
okay. Okay,
As long as this working session has its recording.
Yeah,
It's fine.
we have the
thank
vocal
you.
Thank you.
recording. Yeah. Do you want to take a 2-minute recess?
Yeah, we'll go ahead and take a 5-minute recess, and then we'll come back just to.
We'll come back at 7:16.